Hello, beautiful, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to go over how to allow a man to lead, but not only how to allow him to lead, but how to be wise of who you choose as a future husband and partner. Because allowing a man to lead, which really just means that you trust him, that you trust that if you close your eyes, you're going to be happy of where you end up. That is the foundation of a relationship, but especially with the healthy masculine men, because healthy masculine men, they feel love through respect. And a man feels loved when he knows that you trust him and that you trust in his leadership. Okay. So I want to share with you of what does it even look like for a man to lead and what to look for in a man as you're dating him as signs that he is going to be a good leader in your relationship that you'll be able to actually trust, right? Because we can't go into the future and, see what he's, going to be as a husband, but we can pay attention to how he's showing up in his life, how he's treating us, how much intentionality he has, and through how he shows up in his life and how he's treating us, we can get a really good idea of whether he really is a man of quality and a man that has the best intentions for you that you can truly trust and surrender to, or someone that even if he's a good man is probably not the best man for you. Because if you want to be able to truly live and be in your feminine energy in your future relationship, which when you're in your feminine energy, you're able to truly release control, just relaxed, surrender. And that's really, as women, that's where we're supposed to be. And that's where we feel our best. The men that I have dated that have been in their healthy masculine energy are the men that, really take full leadership, in the dating and, as, in anything, they're just taking full leadership and they allow me to truly rest in my feminine energy because I know that they got it. I know that I don't have to worry about anything, but that I trust in the decisions that they're making. So I want you to think about this. I want you to think if a like homeless man or someone that you don't know, a random man like in the street came up to you and he was like, "Hey, take my hand and I'm gonna take you to the corner." Would you go to the corner? Absolutely not, because you don't know him, you don't trust him, and you don't know his intentions, right? So this is exactly the same thing with a man when you are dating him and you're getting to know him. It's about, like I always say, dating is a vetting process. It's for you to see his character, his values, his lifestyle, how he treats you, and if he is someone that you can truly trust based on how he is showing up in his life and how he is treating you, right? So just like if a random man on the street is trying to take you places, right, you're not going to follow him. It's the same thing, similar to when you're dating and you're getting to know a man, you're not going to from the start relinquish all control and allow him to fully lead, because he needs to build your trust, right? So this is where, in the beginning of dating, as women, we're going to have a little bit more boundaries because we don't know the man. So we have to be wise and we have to be careful, right? So, I know some women, they don't like to give their phone number until a first date. Other women, maybe you like don't want him to pick you up because you want to meet him first and make sure that he is someone that you can trust, right? So men know this. Men know that as they are courting you, they are showing you that, through their actions, whether he is someone that you can trust or someone that, is really not trustworthy. So it's really important that as you are dating and you're in the courtship process with a man, that you do not ignore red flags, that you do not ignore, like little things that come up in your head that's like, huh, like, these are his friends, or this is who he's following on Instagram, or, this is how he treats the women in his life. Like, those are red flags of how he's going to treat you and show up in the relationship, and is probably not going to be someone that you're going to be able to truly feel safe and truly surrender to. Okay, so I don't want you to ever feel like you're overreacting, because the partner that you choose, especially, if you're looking for your husband, is literally the most important decision of your life. So, if you're very picky, for example, if you're looking for an apartment, you want to make sure you love the apartment, you love the amenities, you love the community, right? It's the same thing when you're finding your person. You need to look at all of the different things of how he's showing up in his life, his habits, his actions, how he treats you. And then you want to see, okay, is this someone that I actually can see a life with, and that I'll be able to truly create a life that I love, but also allow the man to lead, which it's literally the foundation to a healthy relationship. I feel like a lot of people, they end up in unhealthy relationships, and it's because they end up with men that they don't trust. They end up with men that they have to end up be the ones that are constantly stepping up and going into the leadership role, because the roles are not right, right? So the man is supposed to be the leader, and we're, as women, really our role is to surrender. It doesn't mean that we don't have an input. Like, if you're in a relationship and, your partner says, like, hey, like, let's do this, but, maybe that, you don't want to do that, you can tell him. It doesn't mean that you don't have a say in the relationship, but really, in healthy relationship, it's, you trust a man with all of your heart and mind and soul, and you trust in, where he's going to take you, that if you close your eyes, you're going to be very happy of where you end up. You can truly surrender, be in your feminine energy. He's in his masculine, and he's in that leadership position, and that's where both the woman and the man feels most fulfilled in the relationship, is when we each have our own roles. Because when you trust your man, and he really is, all of his actions and the way that he's treating you aligns with having the best intentions with you, then you can be the most loving and kind and nurturing, because you're able to be in your feminine energy rather than constantly be in survival mode in your masculine energy, trying to take control, right? And the moment that you do that, that makes the man go into the feminine energy, right? And no masculine man is going to want to be with a woman that, wants to be the leader, because there can't be two leaders. Okay, there can only be one leader and, one follower. So I want to share with you something that God told me, that I was like, yes, like, this is just so good. Is that he said, your husband that you allow to lead has to be someone that you trust his character, his lifestyle, his habits, and daily choices. Someone that you are compatible with, that that you can blindly follow, because you trust that you'll be happy where you end up, right? Because you have similar views in lifestyle, right? And he shows that he cares about you, and he shows that he will always do the best for you and for both of you in the relationship, and that he's not going to be selfish. And that's what allows you, as you see that, that allows you to actually begin to surrender and submit to him, right? So, as you're dating, right, if a man, if he is, being consistent with you, every week he's taking you out on dates, he, at least stays somewhat in communication in between dates, like, it's slowly building up. You can see that he's, making effort to impress you on the dates. Like, you see, you ask him questions like, what does his day look like? What, his friends, like, again, like, who he follows on Instagram, like, all of those things, they're showing you who he is, right? Like, a person will always show us who they are in the beginning, and it is our job to trust them. And this is why one of the most important parts, if you want to be able to truly end up in, in a healthy relationship is that rather than focusing on like the man constantly, you really want to decenter man, and you want to focus on you. You want to focus on your healing. You want to focus on building deep friendships and, hobbies, creating a life that you love, having a closer relationship with God, healing any, maybe relationships in your family, just overall fulfilling your own needs. That's why people say like date yourself. It's about fulfilling your own needs, or having also God fulfill your needs, to where when you are dating and men are coming into your life, you don't just end up in a relationship with any man that is giving you a little bit of love and attention. Why? Because you really value yourself and you see how much you bring into the table. So you also want someone that is your equal, someone that, if you truly admire, value, and respect yourself, and, you have all, you've worked on yourself, you've healed, you have high self-esteem, self-worth, right? You want a man that is also like that, right? If someone has high self-esteem, you're not going to date someone that is insecure about themselves, because you know that's going to bring you down. So rather than constantly, if you are, focusing on like dating advice, one thing that I have really learned is that the best dating advice is doing the inner work, healing, truly loving yourself, removing all of the parts that, maybe from your childhood, you felt like you were unlovable and unworthy, giving love to yourself, showing up for you, right? If you struggle with setting boundaries, slowly start to speak up, like working on to become the women that, it is really the woman that you admire and that you value and that you respect, right? And that's when you're going to be able to also meet someone that you can trust, that is a leader that you respect, that you look up to, which is what we all want, right? We want our equal and someone that is going to make us feel safe and cherished. So it really all starts with you. It starts with you healing and growing and taking care of yourself. And when you do that, then you're automatically going to be way more wise on who you're dating, who you're getting into a relationship with, because you're going to be paying attention to all of these things. You're going to be paying attention to his character, and you're not going to be ignoring the signs that he's showing you, because you're like, okay, this is who he's showing me that he is. I understand. And then that's when you can make the decision if that's someone that aligns with what you see for your life long term, or if it's best to walk away, even if it's a good man. Because again, in order for you to really be in a healthy relationship, you need to allow the man to lead. So for me, even if there's men that I have dated that, for the most part, they're good men, but if I see things in their character, or I see things in their habits or their friendships or etc., that I'm like, you know what? Even if they are good men, at the end of the day, I don't think he is someone that I could truly trust and surrender to and really submit to and allow him to lead. So therefore, I'm not going to continue dating him, because I would really be doing a disservice for both of us, because you fully trusting your man is the foundation for that relationship, and for it to grow on, for where the man feels loved and respected. And when a man feels loved and respected and he cares about you, then he will continue to make you feel loved and cherished, right? It's like a continuous thing of how we make the other person feel, and then, that affects how they treat us. So if you are someone that you grew up where you grew up hyper independent, or you've just been more in your masculine energy most of your life, and or maybe you saw your mom were like, whether you were like a single mom, or maybe your dad was maybe more a bit on like the more passive side, where like you saw your mom taking control and planning, right? So that's what the masculine does. Taking the lead means he's planning, he's taking control, he's moving things forward, right? So for example, in a relationship, that looks like the man planning the date, right? Planning of where you're going to go, him moving things forward of, hey, I want to see you more, I want to talk to you more, I want to move the relationship forward, right? So if you are the one that's moving the relationship forward, you are the one that's in your masculine energy. And this is why I always say that I really recommend that you only date men that from the beginning are showing you that they're really interested in you. Because if a man can't doesn't have enough drive for you to, take you on a date and to be consistent with you and be intentional with you, it's going to be very difficult for him to want to move things forward to get into a relationship and marriage. And this is where I really want you to go out of your head and out of the ego mind and start internalizing this as I'm not good enough and this and that. Okay, no, that's not what we want to do. We don't want to internalize another man's behavior for your value and your worth. Okay, you're valuable, you're worthy. Okay, but sometimes, like, people have different tastes, or maybe they're not looking for a relationship, whatever the case may be. That is not really something that you need to worry about. All you need to focus is I'm only going to be giving my time and attention to men that I can see are clearly being intentional and pursuing me with purpose. Okay, so one thing that I have really taken the time to reflect of, okay, in the last year, of all the men that I dated, who were the men that I felt the most comfortable to really fall into my feminine energy and to really allow to lead? And I saw a really, really strong pattern that the men that I truly just was able to surrender to and are really allowed to lead were men that were more godly men that, again, like I said earlier, not only could I see with their lifestyle, their values, their character choices, that I could trust them, but also with their intentionality of how they are treating me. And I'm not saying that men that aren't godly aren't going to be intentional with you, but one thing that I did notice is that and I want to do a whole live on this, but I did notice that men that were just really pursuing me, but it was kind of like this thing where like they were putting me on a pedestal and they're not really seeing me as their equal. It's like they're, like maybe they're thinking, oh, she's gonna make me look better to my peers, or whatever the case may be. And it wasn't this pursuit where like you can feel a healthy masculine man is going to pursue you, but it's not going to feel like he's trying to take from you. Like it's going to feel really just like it's going to feel good in your body as he's slowly giving you more and more of his attention, right? Like he's not going to be like asking you to go on a vacation with him on a first date. Like that is not correct behavior. Like that is truly, I would say, more of like an unhealthy masculine man that is just trying to push for things to go the way that he wants it to, because he doesn't just trust that things will unfold in the best way possible. You also need to realize that when you pursue a man, when you are consistently closing in the gap of a man and you in communication, or like you're trying to push for things to go forward, this is you starting to pursue him. And a man feels respect. I mean, a man feels loved when you're respecting him. So when you are pushing for things to go forward, you're taking his ability to pursue you and to lead the relationship. And now a man won't feel like you respect him. And the way that men think is that they will think, okay, if a woman is acting like this right now, how is she going to act in the future? Okay, so just like I was telling you, when I want you to pay attention to his friends, who he follows, like, his habits, all of those things, they really give away a lot of information. A true high quality man that is being intentional of his wife, he's going to pay attention to the little details of how you're showing up in your life and the daily actions that you're taking, but also how you're showing up in the relationship. So you really, what I really recommend, and this is something that I had to be really honest with myself the last month, is I really had to reflect, and I realized that for me, it was really easy to allow a man to lead in the beginning of the relationship. But the moment that I was starting to like have like create more like have more feelings for him, I realized that I would start to put walls up, right? Put walls up and start to go a little bit more into my masculine energy, because if I don't have that, if I have not created like a deep trust that like men really do have my best interest, and especially with me being in my unhealthy relationship and different patterns from my life, and especially if you come from a pattern where maybe the men in your life haven't been the healthiest, or have been really consistent and loving with you, what's going to happen is that your subconscious mind, your subconscious beliefs, your inner child, all of your subconscious fears are going to come up, especially when things are getting to go more serious, right? And I realized, I was like, you know what, when I maybe I will like a man, but it's like I'm not falling for him. I'm not really tripping. Like it's like, okay, you want to take things slow? That's okay. Like I'm going with the flow of the water. But I realized that the moment that it was starting, where we were just starting to get closer, and it's been more and more time, I could tell that I wasn't in a place where I was able to keep my heart open and be able to continue to surrender as the relationship was getting more and more serious. Why? Because in my mind, it's like, okay, like red flag, and that's, I've talked about this, but having that fear of intimacy. But what I realized is that it was really just a bunch of walls and like masculine shields that I had created around my heart, right? Because we what we do is that we will create masculine shields to protect us, right? So that we don't get hurt again. Like this is just how humans work. If someone hurts us, it's like, okay, what can I do? And this is all subconsciously. What can I do so that no one hurts me again, right? So one thing that I realized is that, when a man was starting to get close to me, I would start to look for reasons of why we weren't going to work out, or like start to look for reasons of like, why I need to leave the relationship because he's not treating me the way that I deserve. But I realized that it was really just me nitpicking, trying to find a reason of why they were going to hurt me so that I could leave the relationship, so that I could pretty much end things, right? This is why healing is so extremely important, because if you do not heal before you start dating, not only are you going to attract unhealthy masculine men, but if you do end up attracting healthy masculine men, you're probably going to end up subconsciously pushing away the relationships and pushing away the love that you truly desire. And that's what I had to be really honest with myself, is that I realized that the moment that I started to fall and have feelings for a guy, I began to do things to subconsciously push them away slowly and slowly, because it did not feel comfortable for them to get closer. And not only feel comfortable for them to get closer, but also in one situation, I found myself, where I stepped more into like my masculine energy and more into the leadership role, where it was kind of like, okay, like, things were going a bit slow, and I was like, okay, like, where is this going? Because if it's not going anywhere, I want to leave, right? Because again, it's like, I don't want to get hurt. And one thing that God really revealed to me is, he told me, Amber, like, what you need to do is that you need to, pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow God to fully lead my life, so that then when I get into a relationship and I'm getting married, I have learned what it's like to fully trust and surrender and allow a man to lead, even when it's uncomfortable. Because this is the reality of, when you're actually in a marriage, a healthy marriage. And that's why it is very important that you're very wise on who you choose as a husband. But because the man in the relationship, the masculine, he's supposed to be the leader, you are supposed to allow him to lead in the relationship and really trust that he's going to take you to the best way possible. And that's why I was saying, if you date someone that does follow God, then you know that he has the best interest in you and in him and for God's plan, right? So it all really goes together. And I realized, you know what? I never really had that example in my life, with my mom being a single mom, for 10 years of my life. My mom was the one that was more, she was in the leadership role. She was taking control, planning, taking action, right? Like, she was doing everything. And then, in my mom's marriage, when she got married to my stepdad, my mom was definitely more in the leadership role. So I really did not have a good example. When that situation happened, I realized that there was certain situations where honestly, without even realizing, I wasn't fully allowing the man to lead. I'm not saying that this has happened in all the situations, but with one of the men that it was getting more serious, I wasn't really allowing him to lead. And God really revealed to me, like, Amber, like what you need to do is that you need to allow me to lead your life. And that's what I'm doing now. That, a few days ago, this has just been happening, is that I made the commitment. I was like, you know what? I'm going to allow God to fully lead my life. And as you guys know, like, my relationship with God has something that, has always been very important to me and very special. And I always listen to my intuition and to God, of God telling me, like, yes, this, no, this, right? But even though I was very, am very close to God and I allowed God to lead my life in the past, there was definitely certain times where, let's just say if God told me something, maybe sometimes I would do what I wanted to do, right? So allowing your man and allowing your husband to lead, it's not 70% of the time, right? Like, it's like 70% of the time you're respecting him, or like if a man was 70% of the time respecting you, right? Like, that's just not the way, right? So really allowing the man in your life to lead, 100% of the time, it doesn't mean that you don't have a say, and it doesn't mean that you don't have an input. Like, if your man were to tell you, hey, this is what I want to do, you can always share your input. But if you're starting to go more into the role where you are controlling, you are planning, you're taking action, you are starting to lead the relationship, you're pretty much, going into being the man in the relationship, right? And no masculine man is going to want to be in the feminine role, right? So that relationship just won't work out. And this is why, continuing to heal, and, I'm sharing with you all of the ways that, I'm realizing, like, okay, I really want to learn to, because one of the biggest reasons, and I don't think I've shared this on here, but one of the biggest reasons of why I worked on myself so long before I started dating, when I wanted to find my person, is because I wanted to be an amazing wife. I wanted to be an amazing mother. And I'm gonna like cry, but yes, I worked on my style, and like, I worked on my hair, and like I worked on my fitness, but I would say 80% of the work that I did in my single season, like where I put most of my time and attention to, was internally, to my healing, to really learning how to step into my feminine energy and relinquish control and allow a man to lead and be respectful and how to communicate. And like literally, like, there's just so much that goes into it, because for me, I had no example of what it looked like to have a healthy relationship. So, what I did is I made my priority to learn about men and relationships and how to actually be a woman that is able to be in a relationship with a healthy masculine man, where you can honor one another and be in a healthy relationship, right? Because a relationship, it's two people. There can be one person, but if you have a lot of things that you haven't healed and you haven't worked on, it's going to be really difficult for the relationship to thrive, right? And when I had this realization, this past month, that I realized that I because I had built, walls around my heart and, yeah, because I had built walls around my heart, you can't really allow a man to lead you if you're not opening yourself and then trusting him, right? So if I have my heart closed and I have walls, right? And he's trying to lead and for me to surrender, whatever, but I'm 50% close, it's not going to happen, right? So what I've worked on, and God has completely opened my heart like insanely this past month. Like I feel 20 pounds lighter. I have completely opened my heart. I feel so open. I literally feel like I healed unhealed wounds that I didn't even know were there since like childhood. Like my heart feels so extremely open, and now that I'm able to have that openness, now I'm going to allow God to lead my life so that then when I meet my person, I have my heart open. I can allow him to come in because I'm not closed off. And then as I allow him to come in, because I already surrendering and allowing God to lead my life, it's gonna feel a lot more natural for me to then allow my husband and my future partner to lead in the relationship. So this is something that I really recommend, if you don't already do this, and this can be really simple as, as you're going throughout the day, asking God, like, God, what should I do with this? Like, God, lead me in my day today, right? And just listen to what's coming in, right? The more that you ask, the more that you ask for support, if you want to have a closer relationship with God, you have to ask for support. So, ask God to support you and to lead you in your life, and then you're going to begin to get the answers. Okay, so not only do we want to practice, allowing to for us to allow God to lead our lives, but also we have to be very discerning of who we date and who we get into a relationship, because we have to make sure that it's a man of true character that will have the best intentions and that we can truly trust and surrender to, in a relationship, but also in marriage. I wrote here that, as you're connecting with God, do not like try not to lead with like quick impulses, okay? And whenever you are thinking of like, okay, what should I do? That's where you want to go and you ask God, like, God, what should I do? And just listen to the answer. And I know that the answer will come to you. Okay. Sometimes it comes in a few hours, in a few days. I have a really close relationship with God. So usually my answers are pretty quickly. So as you build more relationships with God, you'll be able to hear Him more quickly. But before you're so quick to act in your daily life, ask God to guide you, and then from there you take the choices. And I want to share with you the scripture that I have just been it's been like on my heart, ever since I decided that I was like, I'm going to allow God to fully lead my life, and I'm just going to surrender to Him and stop stressing about literally anything, any part of my life. I'm just going to fully surrender. And it's the verse that says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and future." And I love that scripture because it just goes to remind you that even if you're going through a hard time, even if there's certain things in your life that you're like, oh my gosh, like, why is this happening? Even for me, when I've all the realizations that I've had, and mistakes that I've realized that I've made, with men that I dated, at first I was being really hard with myself because I was like, God, like I literally spent 2 years doing hundreds and hundreds of hours of healing and learning. And it was like, and I still made mistakes. And that this is why I've been sharing with you is like, we are never going to be perfect. We're not God. We're never going to be perfect. So it's just about doing the best that we can every single day, taking ownership to heal, right? But besides that, if we do make mistakes and things don't go the way that we would like it to go, it's like just surrendering to God and just know that it's all going to work out, right? Like it's all going to work out. And you know what? Those situations that I had, even though I made some mistakes, but they have helped me to grow immensely. Like I literally feel like a completely different person right now than I was last year. And if I didn't have those situations, it wouldn't allowed me to be where I am today. So try to look at the things that you're going through and any difficulties that you're going through as really an opportunity to grow and heal, and also deepen your relationship with God, which is what is doing for me. Like, I feel like I already had a close relationship with God, but I feel like the hurt and the pain that I've gone through has really allowed me to really take it to another level. Thing that I asked God is I said, God, why did you bring me the healthiest men that I have dated literally this past year? Why did you bring me them in the beginning of when I started dating? Like literally the healthiest men that I've dated were like in the first month that I got back into dating after like, only my other, 5 year on and off relationship and then taking a really long break from dating, the healthiest men I have dated were in the first month of me getting back into dating, where, yes, I had spent a lot of time, studying and learning and going to therapy, but usually you're not able to truly apply what you have learned until you're actually in the act of it. So if you are someone that you've healed a lot and you've worked on yourself a lot and you're like, I don't want to date ever, or keep pushing it, I would really recommend that even if you say, hey, I'm going to go on one date like a month or something like that, just getting yourself out there, it is such a huge learning lesson because you're able to see, okay, what are the men triggering in me? Or, where am I feeling like I want to step up into like, and control the situation, where like, just all the different situations as you're dating. I don't know because we're not there, but it really is very useful to date and see what are the patterns that are coming up. What men are you attracting? How are they treating you? Because they all say about where you are in your healing, and then you can take that to pretty much heal faster. And that's pretty much what I have done. It's like I'll take and I'll see, okay, the men that I'm attracting or patterns that I'm taking. And then if I don't like it, then I will do the inner work to heal and to grow from it. And the first part is just being aware. So as you are dating, start to just pay attention. Like, is there a pattern of the men that I'm attracting and how they're treating me? Is there a pattern of the emotional availabilities? You just want to start pay attention, right? Like, what are the patterns in my dating and in my relationship? Because that's going to just open your eyes to what is going on. And then from there, you can ask God, like, God, like, what is going on? Like, reveal to me what is happening in the situation. What do I need to heal? What God told me when I asked him, why did you allow me to date the healthiest men in the beginning? Like, it couldn't be like now, like a year later, like I'm so much healthier now. Like, like why did you not allow me to meet them once I had more experience and dated more, and worked on myself more? And he told me, Amber, you had to meet them because I had to help you with your character. And he said, I had to show you with conviction that there's amazing men. Because, for you girls, I tell you, I'm like, there's, a lot of amazing, healthy, masculine men. There's, just men that I have met that are just like literally so wonderful, like men of character and quality. And if I wasn't meeting them, right, then I wouldn't be able to tell you that they exist, right? And I was like, okay, that's fair. But we really do have to do our part to heal and be ready for our husbands. If there's anything that I have learned about the last year and certain men that I have dated that it didn't work out, is that I realized that this is why the healing is so important. And it's because if you have not healed enough, you are going to subconsciously push that relationship away. You're going to end it, or maybe you're going to start doing things like I talked about, like maybe starting to like lead in the relationship, right? Because you just haven't healed, right? So the more that we heal, the more that we're able to truly show up, and I feel like people don't really know the definition of like a high value woman, a quality woman. But I truly, when I think of like, okay, what's a quality woman? If you're like, what does it even mean? What's a quality woman? And I started to think, and I'm like, a quality woman, like if I can put it in the simplest words, just like for a man, I truly just feel like it's a godly woman, right? Someone that is wise, someone that is kind, but they're not a people pleaser, right? Like they're also strong. So it's like that beautiful flow of kindness and loving and nurturing, but there's also that strength, right? So when you heal and you work on yourself, you're really able to show up as a high quality woman, attract high quality partners, and for the relationship to actually work out because you're each other's reciprocal. Like I was reading the Bible and it says, God took the rib from the man. I saw a quote, let me pull it up. The woman was made of a rib out of the side of Adam, not made out of his head to rule over him, nor out of his feet to be trampled upon him, but out of his side to be equal with him, under his arm to be protected, and near his heart to be loved. So our our husbands and our partners, like the man that is really for you, he has to really be your equal, right? So if a man meets you and he's like, you know what, even if this woman is amazing, but she really hasn't healed, she's insecure, she's trying to lead the relationship or whatever, right? He's not going to see you as his equal and someone that he can really build a life with. And that is the difference between just being the woman that will date a quality man versus being the woman that will actually be able to get married by a man, and that the man is just like just obsessed with you and really loves you because he sees your value, because he sees you as his equal, right? So this is what I teach in the Queen Embodiment, where I teach you how to become your dream partner's equal, right? You have to get really clear on what you desire, but then you have to do your part, because the men that you're attracting right now, those are your equals. So we need to work on ourselves so that if we do want a higher healthy, masculine partner, right, that we really admire, well, we need to become what we desire, right? That's the only way that you're going to be able to attract that quality of man, but also be able to keep the relationship. I hope this video was helpful, and I really want to learn how to bring down any walls that you have created around your heart, any masculine shields that you have created that, maybe it makes it hard for you to really open up your heart to trust men, right? Like this is so important, especially if you want a healthy masculine man, is really being able to have an open heart. I'm having a masterclass on August 25th inside of my membership on how to lower your masculine shields and open your heart. So I'm going to show you everything that I have done to lower my masculine shields. This is something that I have worked on for a very long time, but especially in the last month, it's something that I really worked on to lower my masculine shields in my heart. And like I shared, God has completely opened my heart, and I want to show you that process so that you can do it as well. And it's been so like crazy, but ever since, I have just felt like I literally scanned my body even like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I literally have like 100 walls around me. Like literally energetically, I had 100 walls around me. And now maybe I have like five, or like I just don't really feel like I have much walls up. Like I just feel like my heart is so open, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna be wise with who I allow in, but I don't have all of these walls protecting me because I don't feel like I need to be protected, right? Like the masculine shields just really block you from the love that you desire. So if you want to learn how to lower your masculine shield, really open up your heart, then we're gonna have that inside of the membership. So I will link the membership below, all of my courses and ways to work with me. And I really hope this video was helpful for you. And don't just listen to what I'm saying, but I hope you took some notes, whether you wrote them down or just mentally, and start taking action so that you're showing up differently in your life. You're asking God for support. You're allowing God to guide you and lead you, not be so quick to take decisions, and then being really wise and paying attention to how men are treating you, because you know that that's going to have a huge impact to really allowing a man to lead, which is so necessary to have a healthy and loving relationship. So I will see you in the next video. Bye, love.